Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Gorgias. And as you can tell, we're going to be reviewing the entire series of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Why? Because the series has finally reached its last true conclusion yesterday, May 4th. And I figured this would be the perfect time to go back and look through the entire series and sort of where it's come from in a way, because I have been binge watching the entire series since January, and that has come to an end yesterday. Well, today I'm planning to watch Revenge of the Sith later, so technically it comes to an end then, but for the series itself, it's finished, and so it's a perfect time to look back and see where the series has come from. Season 7 began in February, and it was definitely kind of, the first few episodes, I think most people can agree, they were okay. They weren't amazing, you know. It was kind of disjointed. We had the Bad Batch, and then we had the twins and Ahsoka, and we all know it was fine for character development, but it got repetitive in like episode 7 where they escaped and then they got back in prison again and then they'd escape again. It did become repetitive and unnecessary. The true highlight of season 7 obviously was the Siege of Mandalore arc from episodes 9 up till 12. I wish the whole season could have been like that, could have been that connected, because if it was, we wouldn't have been left with some mysteries. What I mean is that by the end, obviously the ending, which I'll talk about afterwards, was incredible and beyond words, but we're left with some questions, such as what happened to Bad Batch? Were they part of Order 66? Were they all killed? You know, what happened there? We don't really know. Things like this. There's probably more things, but off the top of my head, I can't really think. But yeah, the series as a whole, looking back at like what it gave us, you know, it all began. Technically, it began in 2001 or 2002 with just Star Wars Clone Wars, which I remember seeing briefly. I think I saw a movie of it very briefly when I was like 5 or 6 in school. Someone brought it in, we watched it on a DVD player. But other than that, I've never really watched that show, and I must get into it, and I heard it's only 2 to 3 seasons long. Because then in 2008, the real series began with the animated movie Star Wars The Clone Wars. I don't even remember when I got this, I was so young, but this was the true beginning of Clone Wars, and it introduced the characters we needed to know about. It gave us Ahsoka and Captain Rex and Jabba's son, who only appeared in one other episode of Clone Wars and was never seen again. Another mystery we never really got the answer to. The movie itself was obviously enjoyable and fun, and a very different approach into the Star Wars universe from what we'd seen in the live action movies. Obviously though, I remember being confused because when I watched it, obviously Ahsoka becomes Anakin's Padawan, and we never saw that in the movie, so I was like, does she die? Where does she go? Does she not mention in the movies? And obviously now we finally have that answer 12 years later, but still that was one of the questions lingering from the movie. As I said, it gave us the iconic characters. Many of you, I presume most of you know, but I only found this out recently. When Ahsoka was introduced in this movie, she was probably the most hated character in all of Star Wars at the time. Why? I think just because A, she was a girl, and 2, she was kind of arrogant or cocky, or definitely feeling like she was trying to prove herself. And I think that was delivery. You know, I watch it, for example, and I see that she does come across as annoying, but I think that's deliberate, because you're meant to see her grow from what she's like as a 14-year-old in this movie to the young adult / Jedi we see at the end of the series. So we've definitely seen her grow. That's been the biggest element to take away from Clone Wars as a whole, is that at the heart of it all, even though it's about the Anakin turning to the dark side and some of the other things that pushed him, it is really Ahsoka's story as well. We got to see her go, as I said, from a young kid right up to where she is now, and ultimately in Rebels. And it's been quite the journey over the years. I didn't really, plan this video going in, as you can tell, so I'm just sort of putting my thoughts all together right now on the spot, because I just watched the finale last night and I decided, perfect time to do a video. Obviously one of the other big things to come out of Clone Wars for me, Maul, in the Phantom Menace, when he was introduced, he was really cool Sith Lord, but he had like 2 lines that were voiced by Peter Serafinowicz. He spoke twice, and then the rest of the movie he was sort of silent and deadly. And he kind of blew everyone away for being this incredibly acrobatic Sith Lord. We'd never seen anything like that before. And then he was killed in the Phantom Menace, or so we thought, only to be brought back in season 4. I think he was teased at the last episode of season 3, but he was in season 4 of Clone Wars. Mixed feelings again to his return, people were sort of angry that this character who was killed was being brought back to life. He quickly rose, became one of the most staple characters of the entire franchise, and definitely one of the most recurring. My all-time favorite, as you can tell. And, it's fitting that he got to fight Ahsoka in, weirdly enough, what was ultimately the final lightsaber duel of the series. My 2 favorite characters going at it was, that duel on its own was phenomenal due to the motion capture done by Ray Park, and I can't remember her name, but there was an actress in The Mandalorian who did Ahsoka Tano. And anyway, that duel was unlike anything we've ever seen. It was like something out of the live action movies. Definitely a contender for one of the best duels in the entire series. Obviously we knew how it would end. We knew none of them were going to die, so the stakes were kind of taken away, because I want to say they fought in Rebels, but they didn't really. They clashed, and then Ahsoka threw him off a cliff. Much like how this duel ended, ironically, but yeah. At least we got to see a proper duel with them this time. It was beyond expectations, as this entire story arc was. As many of you might know, the Siege of Mandalore was the final story arc from George Lucas, because he did start the Clone Wars. He did sort of plan out some of the stories, and the Siege of Mandalore was his final one that he never got to finish back in like 2010, 11. And now the George Lucas story is finally complete, and it's definitely bittersweet. Captain Rex, another iconic character from the series. I know I'm just spouting things here, I'm just saying whatever comes to mind, but I think that's the best way to approach this video. Captain Rex, another iconic icon. I remember being, I want to say, 8 or 9, and I remember playing on the ground and looking up at the TV, and there was a few episodes of season 1 of the Clone Wars on, I think it was Nickelodeon at the time, or Cartoon Network. It was, I don't remember the names of the episodes, but it was from season 1 anyway, the very first episode I saw. The Malevolence episodes with Plo Koon, and then when they destroyed the ion cannon. And the episodes where the commando droids invade the moon and attack the clones, and Captain Rex and the others. I think Captain Rex was there, I'm not sure, but that episode anyway, you know the ones I'm talking about. So that stands out as a really fun memory of the series for me. And obviously R6-D4 going against R2-D2. No, I have these, I do remember some of these from a child, and it's definitely stood in my mind for the years, and it's nice to see it finally get what it deserved in an ending. Because the show was cancelled after season 5, and season 5 didn't really feel like an ending, it just kind of stopped, I guess, and then season 6 came, and it was only half the length of a normal season, and again, didn't feel like an ending, it just felt like the end of an episode. And now we can see with season 7 we have our true ending. I, for one, was disappointed with episode 11, simply because I expected more from Order 66. I wanted to see some of the other Jedi from the series get killed. There wasn't enough emotion for it, and I thought it was pretty badly done, but 12 made up for that by giving us Darth Vader. Darth Vader with Ahsoka's lightsaber in the end was so symbolic and powerful in a way, because him with the blue lightsaber, it symbolizes him believing Ahsoka to be dead, but also understanding that that Jedi aspect of himself is now gone and he's stuck down this path that he started and that he caused all of this. And it's all a symbol of like, yeah, the Jedi aspect of himself, as I said, is gone. And so it was really heartfelt to see all that. But yeah, that's in relation to that anyway. For the whole series as a whole, because this is reviewing the entire series and I haven't done that yet, it is, even though it's a groundbreaking series and it's fantastic and enjoyable, it is very disjointed in many places across all the seasons. Story arcs are introduced. A good few of them are not really relevant to the overall thing, such as that one storyline. I can't remember the frog dude, but he was a captain and they ended up on a desert planet with R2 and a few other droids. Beasley. You know, that was completely pointless, didn't need to be in there. Other story arcs like this, they were so disjointed. Jabba's son. You know, the Clone Wars gave us so much, but it often didn't really tie into a whole narrative. There was no consistent tone throughout. Characters kind of came and went. Asajj Ventress, the last you see of her in season 1 is episode 15, and then she doesn't appear again till halfway through season 3. Or till the first episode of season 3, and then the end of season 3. And then she's killed in a comic. You know, other characters, you know, just sort of come and go. Maul, like I said, introduced at the end of season 3, didn't appear till 4. And then Mother Talzin, which I never really understood, because I love the Night Sisters. I have Star Wars Jedi Alliance on the DS. That was one of my favorite games growing up. And the Night Sisters were bad. In that they had lightsabers, which made them even cooler, but they were always this mysterious and badass clan in the whole Star Wars universe. But then the Clone Wars doesn't do anything with them. It introduces them and then kills them in the very next episode. And, you know, Mother Talzin, it's very difficult to figure out like how she's alive or dead or what's going on there. That brief lightsaber duel she had with Mace Windu in season 6 was definitely one of the surprising moments in the series, but definitely one of the coolest. The whole arcs, you know, Cad Bane is a character that shows up a lot in the Clone Wars, and then he disappears without us really seeing anything about him, which is a shame because he was really cool and badass. Same with Aurora Singh. She was in The Phantom Menace, for those who didn't realize, in the pod race scene. And then she's in the series and she gets a lot of time, but then she kind of disappears and she's apparently dead by the time Solo happens. Another character we didn't get to see a lot happen. Although, this series though, I must say, has a lot of surprising moments. Because I just remember Zero the Hutt's death. That was the most unexpected thing throughout all 7 seasons for me. Because I'd heard that he died, but I presumed it was in between shows or whatever. I didn't expect him to get shot on screen. And it was definitely one of the more surprising stuff, because this series throws a lot at you. Despite being a cartoon, there's a lot of more adult hinted references and innuendo at times in the show. And you know, a lot of dark moments, such as characters getting mutilated and chopped into pieces, things like this. Yeah, clones as well. Even in season 7, we see Darth Maul just go riot on the Star Destroyer and kill everyone just by decapitating with a piece of metal from the wall of the ship. The show throws a lot our way at times in terms of what you wouldn't expect for darker moments or definitely violence. But as I said, a lot of the story arcs throughout all the seasons are disjointed and sometimes it doesn't really feel connected and it's kind of disappointing. The series has many fantastic episodes, don't get me wrong, and some cool story arcs, but it's never connected. It's always sort of separate from each other, and you know, I don't really like that. That was one of the things I took away from going through all 7 seasons. A massive thing as well, the episodes being out of order. From season 1 up till about 3 anyway, maybe even 4. You know, some of the episodes in season 2 happened before season 1. I don't understand that. Why didn't they just do it in chronological order? Or, you know, why with season 7 they don't give us episodes that happened before the Siege of Mandalore or whatever, you know? Things like this. But like the Dark Disciple comics or Son of Dathomir. You know, why don't we see these episodes now? Because Clone Wars has a history of going backwards. Sure, the show is over, but you can still go backwards and fill in that gap between season 5 and 7. But that's a discussion every other person on the internet has had. But it is a big problem. The Clone Wars suffers from not really being consistent and from being jarring and kind of over the place. But what it does deliver on is countless adventures and times of tension. You know, the main characters like Rex and Ahsoka aren't going to die in like season 2, for example, but you see episodes and you see a lot of these tense moments that you're like, something could happen here, and I wouldn't be surprised because of how Clone Wars deals with things. It definitely keeps you on edge a lot of the time, and it is the high point of Star Wars, really. Currently it's the only part of Star Wars where all the fans are united in what we enjoy, because the movies have gone to shit. The Rise of Skywalker was the only good Disney movie. The rest of them were just either absolutely atrocious or just meh. But the Clone Wars is untouched. It still remains fantastic. Rebels has mixed approaches to it, but I definitely like season 2 and 3. And it has caught on to fans since then. So like, with the shows, even as The Mandalorian proves, Disney can do amazing works with the shows. Clone Wars being a prime example, but when it comes to the movies, they fail spectacularly. They definitely should focus on shows a lot more, and I think they will. But obviously that leaves the future of Star Wars up in the air, because the movies are finished for the time being. The Clone Wars is finished, Rebels is finished. We don't know if we're getting a Rebels sequel. The comics are the only thing for Star Wars at the moment. I'm sure there'll be a movie in like 3 years' time, like Disney were planning, or Star Wars Rebels sequel. But for the time being, we're left. This is our farewell to the prime part of Star Wars, the real heart of the series. This is the show that had all the iconic moments, characters we enjoyed, the ones we absolutely hated, and it had so many cool moments. So I do hate that some of the story arcs are left to comics. Asajj Ventress should have been killed in the show. Quinlan Vos should have been killed in the show. We should have seen what happened to Jabba's son, because that's kind of a huge continuity problem. Same with the Bad Batch. As a whole, the Clone Wars isn't consistent, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but you have to realize it really is kind of all over the place. But I can excuse it to an extent, because with the Clone Wars, it allowed them to tell stories they never had the opportunity to tell before, introduce characters they probably wanted to introduce for a long time. So they let their imaginations go wild, and even though individually it's not very well put together, as a whole it forms an incredible adventure, a journey that shows us Anakin Skywalker going slowly and more increasingly into the dark side as he goes on. The Jedi, how they lose faith in Ahsoka, she loses faith in how the whole war makes the galaxy be the Jedi, things like this. And all the moments from pretty much from season 4 onwards, at least from the episode about the Zillo Beast, you get so many points in the show where you see that they could have prevented Order 66, or that they know it's about to happen. The Jedi do nothing. Palpatine's plan remains intact. And it leaves you heartbroken, because you know they could have done. Fives knew he was trying to stop it, but he ultimately died as a result. And it messes with your head, because you really want, you know the tragedy is going to happen, but that hopeful part of your mind is there wishing that this will not happen, that everything will stay the way it is as this, but obviously not. It all comes crashing down in the end. As Maul says, everything's about to change. And yeah, I was left with a very deep and heavy feeling after yesterday's episode, because I watched and then seeing the end. It's something you watch and then you sit back for a while afterwards and let it sort of sink in and go over your mind as you realize this is the end of a 12-year journey with the show. And I'm not as attached to it as most people are. You know, Star Wars is my main franchise, obviously. I have varying opinions on it depending on the time of my life, really. But Clone Wars was like the first season, a good few of the episodes I saw as a kid, and those I'm attached to. But the rest of the show I only really caught up with recently. But I think season 7 can definitely stay in my mind as being quite an emotional send-off to the series and everything it is given to the fans. Because Dave Filoni is the real person who understands Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy is a joke. Dave Filoni should be the one in charge of movies. He gave us this, and he gave us the entire series, and he gave us Rebels. He understands the characters and what we want to see and how to get us thinking and excited, how to bring the fans together. And he doesn't do these stupid decisions that Disney do, but hopefully he comes back for more Star Wars content in the future. I'm sure he will, but you know, I'm not privy to information in this franchise, so I have no idea. That's up to, you know, I'm sure most of you know more information than I do about it all. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. Like I said, I didn't organize my thoughts. It's obvious. I just went in trying to rattle out everything that's on my head. I have a bad habit of doing that lately with these videos, I must admit. And just sort of going through each of the elements throughout the series, but what I liked and disliked. You have to give me some slack here though. It's very difficult going back on 7 seasons, 3 months worth of content. I can't remember a lot of it, so you can cut me some slack there, but I remember many key points and things that stood out in my mind. And the show, just like George Lucas's 6 movies, is poetic at times because it echoes many other versions of Star Wars, including, you know, all the hints to the original trilogy, Darth Vader, all these references. Like season 7 when Ahsoka buries her lightsabers in the snow on, I don't know the planet, I presume it's Hoth, I could be wrong. You know, that's obviously echoing Rise of Skywalker when Rey puts her lightsabers in the sand. So even though that was forced, it still felt like a nice poetic sort of reference and loop there for the fans. And I don't know if Star Wars will ever get something on the scale of Clone Wars ever again. Clone Wars united everyone. Rebels sort of had mixed views, and no one talks about resistance or forces of destiny, so, you know. But I'm sure this isn't the end. Star Wars will come back with something strong in a couple of years, and we'll be right back where we are now soon enough. But yeah, I am going to leave it there. There's nothing else to say. I apologize if this video is sort of bugging some of you or isn't organized. I just went into it, so I should have organized my thoughts and stuff beforehand, but like I said, it was tricky to remember 3 whole months worth of content. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. The journey of Star Wars The Clone Wars has officially reached its final conclusion. Let me know down in the comment section below. Have you watched the entire series? Did you see the finale last night? What do you think of the show? From the animated movie up till now, what have been some of your favorite moments? What do you think of the show as a whole? Or what were some of your favorite story arcs, favorite characters? Let me know all of it down in the comment section below. And if you're interested, I have done, I think, 2 or 3 other Star Wars videos. I did a review on Rise of Skywalker, and I did a ranking of the movies. And I'll probably end up doing more videos in the future. I also did a video on Darth Maul, actually, so you know, you can go check all that out. I'll link it here for you, obviously. And obviously on top of that, I do other videos talking about other movies and video games, so, you know, if you're interested in that, please stick around, and I hope you check out some of my other videos, and like and share if you know other people who'd be interested. Yeah, with that all the way, I'm going to say may the Force be with you, but today is the 5th of May, so it's Revenge of the 5th, so I can't exactly say may the 4th be with you at the moment, but yeah, whatever. Thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Nova Scories out.